Alright YouTube, I'm back again today for another game review, and today I'm very excited to check out Caper from Keymaster Games. This is for 2 players with a 3 and 4 player variant, take about 30 to 45 minutes to play, and it's for ages 13 plus. And in Caper, you are going to be pulling off 3 heists, and you're going to be trying to compete with another group, another mastermind caper who's trying to do heists at the same location, but only one of you is going to be able to pull off the heist at that location. This is a drafting area control-esque game where you're also going to be collecting sets. It's got lots of different mixing parts and pieces going into the game. Beautiful artwork, but does it amount to a good game? Let's open it up and I'll tell you what I think. Alrighty then, we're going to take a look at what you're going to get inside of Caper. So first and foremost, we have a handy dandy rule booklet. It's 11 pages, double-sided, full color, full of pictures, illustrations, examples, and it's very well done. It should have you up and running in no time at all. So big thumbs up on the rule booklet. Bam! Right there. Now, the game also comes with the Caper catalog, which goes over exactly what every single card in the game does and goes through all the different symbology, because there is a lot of symbology in the game. I will say it's nice that this is included, but I wish it was like a big oversized player aid card. I'll talk more about it in the pros and cons. And once you've played 3 or 4 games, you'll start to know all the different symbols and have an idea of what they mean. But when you're first starting, you are going to be passing this back and forth and back and forth and back and forth, which can be annoying. So in Caper, what you're going to be doing is you are going to be drafting thieves, which will be these white cards right here, and you're going to be equipping gear on those thieves as well. And the gear will give you lots of different special abilities and special powers, which you'll need the booklet to look up. You're going to be doing this over the course of 6 rounds right here, and you're going to be alternating becoming the first player, and whoever has the most points at the end of the game will win. You're going to get points by capturing these different locations, by stealing different works of arts, by laying down specific thieves. There's quite a few ways to gain victory points in the game, and luckily it does come with a player aid card, but I still wish it was much, much larger. So let's go over the components, let's get into the gameplay, and there is a lot going on in this game, so I'm actually just going to give you a brief overview of the components, and I'm going to show you a mock hand and how it works. So before we get started, I do want to mention there's a good deal of variability. So I have set out 3 separate locations. You're always going to be setting out 3 locations, but these are all the locations that I'm not using that come in this set. And the game has like different sets. So I think this is like the France set. So it like have a symbol in the bottom left-hand corner. So there's Versailles and the Moulin Rouge and the Eiffel Tower. And right now we have the Louvre in play. But you also could play with, I think this one is, no, this one's not Rome. I think the other one is Rome because it's got the Vatican and the Colosseum and the Trevi Fountain, and this is also going to bring in unique special thieves as well, and this one as well, so it's got its own little symbol. So there's a good deal of variability in this game with how the game is going to be set up and the thieves that you're going to be playing with, and there also are going to be thieves that you will always have in the game. Next, you'll notice that there's some stuff written down here. These are going to be the 3 locations, and you can play either with the more advanced side, which has the nice wood finish, but I would recommend, especially when you're first learning the game, to use this side because it has little helpful hints. So you can only have 3 thieves at a location, and you can only have 3 pieces of gear on a thief, and you can gain a bonus when a thief has 3 gear. This little symbol right here is pretty much area control. So at the end of the game, you're going to count up how many of these symbols are on each location, and whoever has the most is going to win that said location and get the spoils. For this particular one, it'd be 5 victory points and a victory point for every green card that you've played down, and that'll make a little bit more sense later. Next, each player is going to get a handy dandy little player aid card. This one means that you are the green player, this one means you're the white player, and that actually impacts the turn order as well. So that's some clever little graphic design there, but wow, it's kind of shiny, it's hard to see right there. But the most capers wins location. You get capers plus points with card combos. There's going to be all sorts of card combos you can do. There's location icons, and also there's unique stolen goods. So if you can collect 3 of the different kinds of unique stolen goods, you're going to get 7 victory points. It's also going to mark where your discard area is because the discarding in this game is slightly different as well. But let's just start it up. So the first round, each player is going to get dealt 4 white cards, and the white player is going to go first. Yeah, pretty nifty, I know. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now what you're going to do is you are going to draft one of the thieves. And how this works is the person who has the first player token over here is actually going to play their card and reveal it first, and then the second person is going to do it. So it's not simultaneous play. Actually, you're going to see what the other person does, and then you are going to be able to react accordingly. So let's just say that this person is going to play the conductor right here. And how the conductor works is it's immediately going to earn this person 1 coin. I didn't even talk about the coins because we have coins over here, and there are only 10 in the entire game. This game also has a really interesting aspect where if you have to take coins and you can't take coins, you get to take them from your opponent, which you can use strategically, but it also can be used against you strategically because, duh, that's how it works. This one's also going to give you a caper for every purple and green card you have at this location. So that's pretty nice as well. So they might place it, boom, right here in front of... they might put it right here in front of the museum. You know what? They're going to put it right here. Because this would be some nice synergy because this guy needs green cards and you also would get 1 victory point for each green cards if you win the location. So this guy's planning ahead. He gets his coin. He plays that. And then he's going to pass the cards over to me after I have picked mine. So let's see. Looking over here, we have the actress, we have the tourist, we have the barber. And this is really where your special thing is going to come into play. You're really going to need this quite frequently. So let's take a look and figure out what the madam does right there. I'm pretty sure you get 1 victory point for blue, and then you get plus 1 coin for each other color you play. That's what I think this one is. All gear cards cost an extra coin for your opponent to play at this location. So that one's actually really stinking good. So essentially, because in the other rounds, the green rounds, when you're drafting the green cards, you're going to put gear on people. And this means it's going to be more expensive for them to put gear on, which is really, really bad. So you know what? I might put this one. Yeah, we'll put it right here. Why not? We will go head to head, and then we're going to pass our cards. And then we would do it again. And we would do that until we had 3 different people out. You can stack it up like this. You could put all 3 on one location. It really is up to you how you choose to do it. You're going to take your last card. You're going to put it over here in your discard area, which is underneath your player aid card. So boom, there we do it. And now the first player token is going to pass to me because I am the green one. And now we're going to be dealt 6 green gear cards. And the gear cards, there's a lot of different types of gear cards. What you need to know is obviously the special stuff right here. So this one, this one's a good one. This is going to be 1 special artifact at the end of the game, which, I mean, that's guaranteeing you 1 point, but it could get you all the way up to 7 points. But it's going to cost you 2, so you can see the cost up in the left or left-hand corner. So you pass out 6 of these, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, like that, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, like that. And once again, you're going to do the same thing, where I would have to draft 1 first, play it down, carry it out, and then the other person would get to do it. So this symbol right here is coins. That's just an immediate victory point. I get to count at the end of the game. So the skeleton would be nice. It's going to give me 2 coins. Ooh, look at that. That one's going to give me some points for capers, or some capers for some majority, pretty much. We'll just call it majority for the green cards. But right now, you know what? I kind of would want money, so I think I'd put this one, boom, right here, and you kind of want to play it so that you can see all the symbology. And I would collect 2 coins, and then the other person would do it, and we'd pass it back and forth until we had 1 card left, at which point we would discard it. You're going to do that. You're going to rinse, wash, and repeat going down. Now, obviously, this is a very condensed version because there's lots of stuff in here. There's some cards that will let you attack other people, and not just attack kind of passively like I did with this lady where everything costs 1 more, but actually flipping over other people's cards, which is really stinking bad for them. And if you can play it at the right time, you can screw some people out of some good points. The other thing you can do with gear cards is if you choose not to play it, or if you don't have the money to play it, you can discard a geared card and get a coin. So it's just getting a coin, which is a good way to make sure that your opponent doesn't get it or get you some potential cash. Once you're done with the 6 rounds, you're going to tally up your score with a handy dandy little player aid, or the scorecard right here, which you'll look at the locations, then you'll look at your capers, you'll look at your cards, then you also look at what was it they called? The different artifacts that you've collected. Total up the points. Whoever has the most points will be the winner of Caper. I beat my wife in this particular game. Ha ha ha. So that was great. But there you go. That in a nutshell is how you're going to play Caper. Alrighty then, Caper from Keymaster Games. What are my final thoughts? Let's go over the pros, let's go over the cons. First, on the con side, game's not going to be for everybody for a variety of different reasons. First and foremost, 2 players. Now, they do have an optional 3 and 4 player variant. I'm really glad they did not put those on the box, because I'll be brutally honest with you, I would have had to ding this game down probably about half point or something like that if it would have said it was 2 to 4 players. They did not, because the 3 and 4 player version of the game is drastically different from the 2 player version of the game. So 2 player version of the game, spoiler alert, I'm going to tell you it's great. I really liked it. I'm going to be keeping it and adding it to my collection. I really like the game. 3 player version of the game is really kind of unique, but I feel like it cheapens the experience for the 2 masterminds And that being said, being the caper is kind of cool, and trying, you essentially are like this ringmaster and trying to get both players to get very close scores, and you're going to be giving their cards, and they're going to have 2 cards to select from instead of like drafting. So they're still drafting, but they only have 2 cards in front of them. It's a cool addition to the game, but after playing it once, I was like, because I asked the other 2 people, I was like, was this as fun as just playing it regular? And they're like, no, I liked it better just playing a standard 2-player version of the game, whereas I really liked being the caper. But that being said, I feel like being the caper kind of takes away from the masterminds. 4-player version of the game, I'd never play again. I hated it. It's just your typical team thing where it's like, oh, it's a team game. Now we're working together, and it's pretty much the same game, but with a couple differences. Didn't like the 4-player version of the game. 3-player version of the game is not as good as the 2-player version of the game. 2-player version of the game is great. So that's what I'm trying to say. Stick with 2 players pretty much. Continuing onward with the cons. This booklet is very useful and very functional. Unlike this box that doesn't want to say. Very useful, very functional. But the bottom line is there's only one, and you have to pass it back and forth and back and forth and back and forth, and you have to look stuff up. And you're like, all right, so let's see. No, sorry, it's going to take me a minute. I have to look this. Now, I do like the fact that it's not simultaneous play, that going second in a round is really good because you get to see exactly what your opponent does and then react accordingly, but at the same time, they have to completely look at this booklet, and then they reveal their card, and they're going to pass it to you, and then, especially when you're first starting, you're going to have to completely look at this booklet, which leads to some downtime in between, especially during the earlier rounds, when you're like, I have 6 cards in my hand, let's see, which cards do I want to do? So yeah, I wish this would have been like a giant player aid card or something like that. I know it's not exactly feasible because of how much information is in there, and it's a good thing that there's tons of variability in this game and tons of different types of cards, but the way they handled it, I wish was just a little bit cleaner and clear. That being said, it's not a deal breaker, but it is something that I did want to mention. Gameplay-wise, it is a pretty straightforward, repetitive game. It's just draft, play, draft, play, draft, play, draft, play, draft, play, and you're going to be doing that over and over again. So that might not be your cup of tea. There's not too many, crazy paths to victory here. I mean, you can get set collection by getting the artifacts, and that can get you up to 7 points, which is great. But for the most part, it's a pretty straightforward game. And despite the fact it sounds overly complex, it's not a terribly complex game. So if you're hoping for something on the meatier side, this one might not be for you. That being said, there's still some really interesting choices to make in this game, which I'll tell you more about in the pros. Actually, that might be right now, because I don't know if I have any more cons. Any more cons? No. Moving on to the pros, I thought Caper was great. It is immediately going into my collection, and it's a easily recommendable 2-player game. So what do I like about the game? First and foremost, I mean, the artwork's great. I'm going to get that out of the way. I personally really like the artwork. Everybody I showed it to thought it was really cool artwork, and there you go. Artwork's great. Components are great. I have no component complaints at all, except for this little booklet here, which, by the way, the booklet's well done. It's just I wish they would have done something different there. Box doesn't outstay its well. Component artwork, rule booklet-wise, there is nothing that I really have to complain about. Gameplay-wise, though, I liked how much there was to think about in this game. Especially when you first start drafting, because there's a couple different ways that you can handle things, because you're looking at this hand of cards and you're like, all right, these are pretty cool special abilities, but then you really have to sync those up with the abilities down in the middle, because if the ability down in the middle says that each green card is going to give you a point, and then you have a guy right here who says green cards are going to get you a point, you're like, wow, I really want to put that person over here, but you might say, oh, but it might actually work better over here because this person's better at stealing artifacts, like they have a built-in artifact, and this thing's going to give me an artifact, or different things like that. I like the capers, I like the variety of capers in the game, but where I feel like the game really shines is the gear. There's not that many capers, but oh my gosh, there is a ton of gear in this game, and I like how the different gear does different things, and I want to make sure I'm not overselling this. It is not a complex game, but I feel like it has really interesting choices, which is really what I want. I want a game that's not overly complex a lot of the time, that I'm going to be able to teach to other people, but at the same time, it has really interesting choices in it, and this one does that well. I like the coin system. I like the fact that once there's no coins, which will happen most likely, especially as you get towards the tail end of the game, or it can happen even earlier in the game, you take the coins from other people, which is really stinking cool, and you can kind of plan what you're going to do, and that's where that player order really comes into play, which is nice as well. I like how the player order works as well, as I mentioned, because you get to see what everybody does and then plan accordingly. That's kind of cool. There's just a lot to like in this game. I think it is a great 2-player game, and I can easily recommend it if you're in the market for a light to slightly lighter medium drafting two-player game. Really enjoyed it. I think this is one that's going to be one of those games that is a quiet hit for people who really like two-player games. I feel like if you have a two-player collection of games, this might be one you absolutely want to check out. Great artwork, great rule booklet, easy to learn, easy to teach. I think there's even going to be a how to play video, which wasn't up when I learned how to play the game, but still. Oh, and variability. I didn't even talk about the variability. So there's a good deal of variability. I honestly thought we were playing wrong the first time when we set out 3 locations, and then I was like, wait, there's still all these locations that we're not even playing with. So it's nice that there's different locations. It's nice that there's different capers. I wish there was more different capers as opposed to the different locations, but anywho, Caper from Keymaster Games. I think it's a great game. Easy recommendation ever in the market for a lighter, light to lighter medium weight two-player game. If you enjoyed this review, please sure to click on that subscribe button down below in the comments below. Let me know. What is the last thing you stole? Ooh, what's the last thing I stole? I stole some batteries. Yeah, I actually stole some batteries from my work, but technically it's not stealing because it's kind of a gray area. It's a gray fuzzy area, so there you go. Batteries, double-A batteries. Below in the comments below, what's the last thing you stole? And as always, thanks for your time, YouTube.